Welcome to the Lake Bluff School District 65 Board of Education regular meeting, May 24th, 2011. This meeting is now in session. We are going to change the agenda just a little bit tonight. We are going to put the President's report farther up in the meeting. But what we're going to do first is we are going to have our new board members recite their oaths of office. So if you'd step to the podium, we'll start with Susan Ryder Porter.
Okay. I, Susan Ryder, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Lake Bluff School District 65 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability. I further swear that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting, and I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. Thank you.
Mark Berry.
I, Mark Berry, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of Board of Education of Lake Bluff School District 65 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability. I further swear that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board, while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting. And I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels.
And Leanne Charlot.
I, Leanne Charlot, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Lake Bluff School District 65 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability. I further swear that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting, and I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels.
And welcome to our new board members. Okay, the next item on our agenda is going to be our President's report, and I get to do that. We would like to recognize tonight some of the achievements of our students here at Lake Bluff Middle School and Lake Bluff Elementary School, and to present the awards and talk about some of the achievements. We'll have Katie Williams first talk about a couple of our students at the elementary school who've recently won an award.
Well, I'm delighted to share with you tonight some student awards that are offered through the annual Excellence in Character Awards. and that's organized by the Character Matters in Lake County. And in case you're unaware of this program, the purpose of the program is to honor students and staff members across the county who exhibit outstanding character with their school and within their school communities. So I'm going to ask the students to come on up. So I would like to introduce to you Britta Stride. Pardon me. Oh my goodness, her sister Brooke. Okay. And Brooke is in 4th grade, and she was nominated because she comes to school each and every day with a smile on her face. She's very well-mannered, and she's a pleasure to have around. She gets along with other students in the class, and she's a true leader. She's enthusiastic about participating in school activities and in her studies, and she's very cooperative and just a happy kid to have. I had the pleasure of taking her out for breakfast because she won the raffle or was invited along with the raffle, and just continue to have delightful conversations with her. Thank you, Brooke. And we also nominated Grace Garrity. She's a 5th grader at our school. Grace was chosen due to her being an advocate for her own learning. She continually strives to achieve her goals and to push herself to exceed them. She has been involved in numerous activities at school, such as a representative for the 21st Century Learner, our only elementary student that's helping with the strategic plan, Eco Club, and the LBES Tribune, to name just a few. She's an immense help to others when necessary, yet an independent worker who gets along with everyone. Again, a girl who comes to school excited with a smile on her face. Thank you, Grace.
And I think Mr. Blackmer is going to tell us about some of a character award at the middle school, and then some of the other awards that our middle school students have won.
Exactly. Thank you. Actually, it's very, very much my pleasure to talk a little bit about the student that we nominated at Lake Bluff Middle School. The way that we do it at Lake Bluff Middle School is that I meet with each of the 3 academic teams, and I remind our teachers of the qualifications for this award. And we're lucky in that we had a great number of students who met those qualifications, though this year we had one that certainly stood out above the rest. And she's a student who is always a positive influence in her classes, a positive influence on her peers, is always there to really foster the caring kind of relationships that we really hope to bring out in our students. And in all of our areas, both 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and fine arts teams, Lenny Athenson was the student that we wanted to make sure to recognize with the Character Matters and Lake County Award. So congratulations. Now, in addition to Lenny, we also wanted to make sure that we recognize one of our students who not only won our building level geography bee, he went on to the state competition and did very, very well there. For any of you who haven't had the privilege of attending our geography bee, you may not fully comprehend the knowledge required to get to the point that our next student did. But he did an outstanding job. He certainly had the support of all of the students and staff at Lake Bluff Middle School, and it's certainly a pleasure to congratulate Wyatt Verlin for his geography bee. And you'll have to pardon me because I'm going to need my cheat sheet for the group of students that I want to make sure to mention next. But to begin with, all of our 8th grade students participated in the Project Citizen social studies project that Mrs. Kroll helped to organize. And each class identified a problem, a public policy issue that they felt strongly about, and researched and ultimately presented to a board at school made up of myself, Dr. Asplin, and a number of folks from the community. They did a really great job, and as a matter of fact, we're the only school whose classes, all 6 of them, were invited to the regional competition that was held on April April 2nd. And so we brought the entire 8th grade class to the regional office, to the Lake County College. And one group was selected to go on to the state competition. And that group highlighted a crossing here on Sheridan Road that they thought could be improved as far as safety goes. So I wanted to make sure to mention the students in that class that will be going on to the state competition. That's Margaret Anderson, Natalie Burchell, Helen Burkhart, Patrick Chan, Caleb Feetsum, Ethan Kusurik, Bradley Lass, Marguerite Mack, Griffin Mooney, Kelly Nolan, Olivia Ullman, Sarah Porter, Grace Royster, Nathan Sieb, Britta Stride, Benjamin Sullivan, Hagen Suckemer, and Catherine Udell. So congratulations to that entire class.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to remind everybody is that we're looking forward to the middle school fine arts show this week, where the encore choruses and bands will be performing, along with the display of the student art. I believe a piece of art from every student in the building will be displayed. And the student-written literary magazine Inkblots will be on sale. And then next week, we have the elementary school chorus and band concerts and the variety show. So lots of neat things happening with our students. Thank you. Okay, so we will move on now to communications, and I believe we'll start with John Asplund has an announcement that he wants to make.
Thank you. I'm just going to read it. Well, actually, I'll wait for everybody to go first.
Oh, that's true. You're all welcome to stay, but we understand if you don't want to.
All right. Good evening. I'm sure by now you've all been made aware of the fact that I am resigning my position as superintendent of Lake Bluff, effective July 1st, 2011. I have mixed emotions regarding this new reality, as my family and I have made many wonderful new friends during our all too brief stay here. Lake Bluff is a fantastic community that is highly supportive of education, and on behalf of the children, I thank you all for that support. There is an old saying, you can take the kid out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the kid. That most definitely applies in this case. Julie and I were both raised in West Central Illinois, and we will now, at long last, be able to return home. My parents and Julie's parents and grandparents will be nearby, and Isaac, Eli, and Clara will now get to see their grandparents on a much more regular basis. While Lake Bluff is able to provide many opportunities for our family, the pull of home just became too great. While the unknown can be nerve-wracking, I have no doubt whatsoever that Lake Bluff will move on without me. The board will work cooperatively with the community to find a highly qualified replacement who will take you all to greater heights. So thank you all for the opportunity to live and work with you. It has been an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you, John, and on behalf of the board, we wish you all well as you move closer to home and have more grass to cut, it sounds like. And thank you very much for all that you've done here for our students and our families and the entire Lake Bluff community. So we wish you well.
Thank you, and if my father-in-law's watching, you give me my riding mower back in about 3 weeks.
Okay, next we have comments and communication from visitors, and it looks like we have a couple people who want to address the board. We encourage and welcome public comments and questions in this section of our meeting. If you're going to address the board, please begin by stating your name and address. Please limit your comments and questions to 5 minutes. A member of the board will serve as a timekeeper. Do we have a volunteer? Al,
Hi, good evening.
One moment, please, just while I finish. Thank you. We appreciate the time you took to prepare your comments and coming to the meeting, and will commit to listening to you. We'll need some time to process comments and follow up as indicated. Please do not make any negative comments about a staff member of District 65. If you have such comments, please contact a board member when addressing, so that you may address the board in closed session. Again, thank you for your time, and here's to this, and go ahead.
I'm sorry. Okay, good evening. My name is Jan Schnellbrick, And I live at 766 Malman Avenue, Lake Bluff. I've lived there for 50 years. I am a retired public school teacher and adjunct professor, and I continue to volunteer my services as an educator to many local organizations and agencies. During my tenure as a teacher, I was a longtime union member as well as school delegate to a teachers union. I am also among the 80% of the Lake Bluff property taxpayers who financially support the District 65 schools to the tune of 41.4 of my property taxes, and yet have no children who attend them. On March 22nd, I watched the greater portion of the televised school board meeting from my home. I was somewhat struck by the fact that a board member stepped out of a board member's role to encourage presentation by a few teachers who wished to complain about the kindergarten classroom size at Lake Bluff Elementary School, a matter that should have been settled through grievance procedures. The school board and the Teachers Council Union, IEA-NEA, has been in the throes of negotiating a new contract, the first in many years. As a taxpayer, I find one of the most troublesome items subject to negotiation has been the save section, carried over from the old 1994 contract, which has afforded the Teachers Council complete say-so on the dispersal of 60% of the education fund revenues. This control by the Teachers Council has provided for a 6% annual pay for 6% annual pay raises in an economy that is faltering and has negative inflation. $1,500 in yearly bonuses for perfect attendance, and a surplus in the educational fund of $3 million. As a superintendent new to the district in 2009, John Asplin was expected to renegotiate the board union contract and to eliminate the save section in the new one. These negotiations have been in the works for the past few months, and it was hoped that a new contract would be signed by July of this year. With the announcement that John Asplin is leaving our district, I am wondering who will complete these negotiations and continue to stand up for the taxpayers as the new contract is drawn up. To John Asplin, I wish to say that there are many of us who will miss your guidance and financial expertise. We wish you well in your new position and can only hope that the board will have the interests of the taxpayers in mind as the new contract is negotiated. And I was interested in that part of the oath was taxpayer interests. Finally, and as previously stated in a communique to all individual board members, we do expect that in the tradition of transparency, whatever proposed agreement occurs will be brought to the public for examination before final ratification. And I sign it, and this is for the minutes. And I thank you, Mr. Asplin, for being here for us.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Yes. Go ahead.
I'm Kristen Clifford. I live at 320 Circle Drive. 10 years ago this July, we purchased our first house. We were thrilled to be living in Lake Bluff. Our house was a fixer-upper at the end of a cul-de-sac. Circle Drive was a quiet street that ended right behind East School and the middle school. Being pregnant with our first child, we were happy to know that one day our kids would be attending these schools. Since July of 2001, we have painted, upgraded, and added to our house to make it our home, a place where we can relax, play, and rejuvenate with our family and friends. A few years ago, when talks of adding on to the middle school were being discussed, we were unsure at first. It would mean that 80-foot pine trees would be torn down, that form the backdrop of our quiet, cozy street. We did agree that adding on to the middle school in the form of a stage and a band room would be beneficial to the students, and so did not oppose this addition. Little did we know that the addition would include an industrial-sized chiller AC unit. The first day the chiller went on, the summer of 2009, we called the school and talked with Nate Blackmer. This can't be right. Is this chiller unit supposed to be making this much noise? Since then, we found out that most units, such as the one beside the middle school, are placed on top of the buildings as to keep the sound emitted from these units pointing upwards. Since 2009, the school has done a few things to remedy the problem. Building a wall to surround the chiller and only operating the chiller at certain times. This has been a Band-Aid. The sound levels have decreased minimally, but the impact is still significant to the neighboring community. This is still a nuisance, and it is polluting our community.
My name is Bob Clifford, Kristen's husband. I also live at 320 Circle Drive. I just take a slightly different slant on this. When Kristen and I talked to John Asplund on Friday morning of last week, we were utterly disappointed to learn that at the previous night's meeting, there was essentially no progress being made on Plan B to address the chiller noise. I know many of you are going to hang your hat on the demolition of East School coming down to greatly reduce the noise levels. Unfortunately, we've been waiting around for some kind of solution for nearly 3 summers. This will be our 3rd summer. In the meantime, we on Circle Drive and other surrounding streets have been left to deal with the noise pollution and disruption to our otherwise peaceful life on Circle Drive. We're a family that loves the outdoors. We're always telling our kids that even in the winter months, get outside and play. For those of you who have been to Circle Drive, you know it's a very conducive place to have kids running around in the street. But when the chiller's running, they don't want to go out and play outside. And we don't want to be outside either. I still find it hard to believe that an architect firm like BLDD, with all of their school building experience, or a builder, or even the village of Lake Bluff, would approve such a high-level piece of equipment in a residential area without any noise abatement in place. Knowing this is quite shocking to me. And know that all that surround the chiller have to suffer the consequences. The negative effect of this has taken its toll on all of us. It has caused undue stress in the lives of many of us. We can't continue to go on like this. We understand the conservative approach of the school board. We understand that you want to be responsible with your decisions to spend money or to not spend money. Fine, I get that. Then we'd like you to stop using the chiller. We'd like you to stop using that until a mutually agreeable solution is obtained. You can't have it both ways. You can't drag this out over 3 summers while continuing to create a nuisance and noise pollution. It isn't right that the school can continue to using this unit when it emits a sound level that is way above the Illinois EPA standards for a residential area. You have the data. Please look at it, and please consider an alternate solution to this. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Julie Goschall. I reside at 680 Green Bay Road, and I am the mother of a 5th grader and a 2nd grader in the school, and I'll be very brief in my comments. I more or less stand before you just to echo the comments made by the first presenter. I think she said it all very, very well. And I wanted to let the board know that there is a constituency out there that has both children in the school, but also believes that the board needs to act responsibly in terms of our fiscal policy and make sure, particularly at this time, when we are in negotiations, that we have the proper leadership. I am concerned about the timing of some of the turnover. And I wanted to thank Dr. Asplund. I have not been an attendee at these meetings before, much to my regret at this point in time, but I have been quietly appreciative of his efforts on our behalf. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Martin. I live at 126 East Sheridan Place, and I just want to dovetail and echo a couple of different things that I've heard tonight. First of all, I'd like to support the Cliffords in their desire for a quieter neighborhood. I too live in the East School, Middle School neighborhood, and while our noise level isn't quite as bad as what they experience day in and day out. We too can hear the chiller from our front porch. It's pretty loud. I invite anyone in Lake Bluff to come over this summer, 3 o'clock, have a lemonade with me on my porch, and you will hear the chiller. And I feel like people have been very patient. It'll be 3 summers this summer, and something needs to be done. It's a quality of life issue, for sure. I would also like to thank Dr. Asplund for all he's done for the district, and we wish him well in his new endeavor. And in that light, if you'll indulge me, I just have a prepared statement. Bonnie Boyer, Susan Armbruster, Kathleen Tomei, Catherine Sheehan, Larry Fugelston, Katie Williams, Michael Donhost, Nate Blackmer, Mark Van Clay, David Vick, John Asplund. These are the names of the 11 school administrators my children have had in the 9 years they have attended Lake Bluff schools. In a few months, I will be able to add 2 more names, which would bring the total to 13 in 9 years. Perhaps this is just a fluke. Maybe my timing is bad. But I have to wonder if it's something about us. I mean us collectively as a community. At some point, we have to stop and at least consider that old dating cliche. It's not you, it's me. Now that we once again begin our search for yet another superintendent, we must ask ourselves, each of us, why isn't this working? This is something that I've been asking myself for quite some time now. I haven't found any answers, but here's what I do know. We are a community endowed with great talent. We have many exceptional teachers. We care deeply about our children and about each other. We have a lot of energy and community spirit. We can and do make things happen. Despite this turnover, I believe that children have received a solid education. But I also believe that this turnover has impacted them. Although managing change is simply a part of any career, change this dramatic and constant makes for an unnerving working environment. Building solid working relationships takes time, and our students and staff haven't had that time or opportunity. A clear vision and consistent expectations help staff develop professionally and build capacity. Remarkably, this appears to happen despite the constant change. But I have to wonder, what could our district be? We have a serious task before us. So let's approach this next step with caution and care. Whatever role you might play in the process, whether it's filling out a survey indicating what you seek in a new superintendent, sitting on an interview committee, or perhaps just sending a welcoming smile, approach it, please, with civility, with conviction, and with care. Get involved in the process, and let's make it happen.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. We'll move on to recognition of service to retiring staff members. And we have some resolutions to read. First, Kathy Meyerhoff. Whereas Kathy Meyerhoff, after serving 20 years in education, all of them in Lake Bluff, Illinois, has decided to retire, and whereas it is the desire of this Board of Education, on behalf of its members, its faculty, and the community, to extend its sincere appreciation for her loyalty to this school district, and whereas she has dedicated herself to the instruction of the children of Lake Bluff School District for 20 years, demonstrating caring and compassion for each of her students. And therefore, be it hereby resolved by the Board of Education, District 65, Lake Bluff, Lake County, Illinois, that there be extended to Kathy Meyerhoff its appreciation for her contribution to the children of the school district, as well as its earnest desire that she may have many years of contented retirement. Jan Cubis. Whereas Jan Cubis, after serving 38 years in education, 4 years in North Chicago, Illinois, 2 years in Mundelein, Illinois, 6 years in Deerfield, Illinois, and the last 26 years in Lake Bluff, Illinois, has decided to retire. And whereas it is the desire of this Board of Education on behalf of its members, its faculty, and the community to extend its sincere appreciation for her loyalty to this school district, and whereas she has dedicated herself to the instruction of the children of Lake Bluff School District 65 for 26 years, demonstrating caring and compassion for each of her students, and therefore, be it hereby resolved by the Board of Education, District 65, Lake Bluff, Lake County, Illinois, that there be extended to Jan Cubis its appreciation for her contribution to the children of the school district, as well as its earnest desire that she may have many years of contented retirement. Bonnie Walsh. Whereas Bonnie Walsh, after serving 31 years in education, 5 years in Sauk Village, 4 years in Orland Park, 11 years in Antioch, and the last 11 years in Lake Bluff, Illinois, has decided to retire. Whereas it is the desire of this Board of Education, on behalf of its members, its faculty, and the community, to extend its sincere appreciation for her loyalty to this school district. And whereas she has dedicated herself to the instruction of the children of Lake Bluff School District 65 for 11 years, demonstrating caring and compassion for each of her students. And therefore, be it hereby resolved by the Board of Education, District 65, Lake Bluff, Lake County, Illinois, that there be extended to Bonnie Walsh its appreciation for her contribution to the children of the school district, as well as its earnest desire that she may have many years of contented retirement. June Walton.
Thank you.
Whereas June Walton, after serving 32 years in education, 8 years in Deerfield, Illinois, 9 years in Lake Forest, Illinois, and the last 15 years in Lake Bluff, Illinois, has decided to retire. And whereas it is the desire of this Board of Education, on behalf of its members, its faculty, and the community, to extend its sincere appreciation for her loyalty to the school district, and whereas she has dedicated herself to the instruction of the children of Lake Bluff School District for 15 years, demonstrating caring and compassion for each of her students, and therefore be it hereby resolved by the Board of Education, District 65, Lake Bluff, Lake County, Illinois, that there be extended to June Walton its appreciation for her contribution to the children of the school district, as well as its earnest desire that she may have many years of contented retirement.
Oh, thank you.
Katie Williams. Don't worry, not everyone is leaving. Whereas Katie Williams, after serving 36 years in education, 18 years as a teacher in Rosemont, Minnesota, 3 years as a principal in Cottage Grove, Minnesota, 11 years as a principal in Edina, Minnesota, and the last 4 years as principal in Lake Bluff, Illinois, has decided to retire. And whereas it is the desire of this Board of Education, on behalf of its members, its faculty, and the community, to extend its sincere appreciation for her loyalty to this school district. And whereas she has dedicated herself to the instruction of the children of Lake Bluff School District 65 for 4 years, demonstrating caring and compassion for each of her students, and therefore be it hereby resolved by the Board of Education, District 65, Lake Bluff, Lake County, Illinois, that there be extended to Katie Williams its appreciation for her contribution to the children of the school district, as well as its earnest desire that she may have many years of contented retirement. Okay, and now we have a presentation from our enrichment team. No. Did you need something? Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, so many things to celebrate tonight. We have an enrichment team that I wanted to introduce, and they have a little bit of a video that recaps some of the many projects that occurred this year. This has been called an enrichment team for a couple years, and this year we actually expanded the title to enrichment team and 21st century team, because much of what they do is to work and partner with the other teachers and the teaching teams to develop differentiation for not only the gifted student, but all of the tenets of 21st century learning. So these are our experts, and they are Frances Sale. Frances, wave for everybody. Frances is a gifted specialist. Buffy Stauffer is a reading specialist and gifted certified. Lori Brown, of course, is technology integration. Wendy Krieger, our math specialist, K-5. Not here tonight is Paige Souley, our information literacy coordinator, a librarian for both of the buildings, and Janelle Carney, who's the math specialist for grades 6, 8. So these people, these 6, work together weekly and daily to help promote the instruction and the learning in our schools. And they've done a tremendous job. And they're also so technologically literate, they put together a video. So Lori, please help us.
Just want to, before I start the video, have you notice as we did this, we kind of compiled different projects we thought kind of highlighted, but these are not all of the projects we've done. Actually, at the end, we'll have something that will show a list of most of the projects I think that we've done. But we just wanted to highlight a few, and notice as the name of the project comes up, afterwards we tried to list what were those 21st century skills that we tried to hit with that particular project. So with that, we'll go.
This was a wonderful learning experience for our students. They learned to work collaboratively with one another. They also had to be self-directed in their learning because they needed to determine how they were going to go about their research and also how they were going to create the final product.
In order to prepare ourselves as a team, we wanted to sort of be on the same page, so the teachers were doing the same thing across the grade level. We met multiple times to plan and create the unit with the help of the enrichment team. So to get the students started in the research process, we created the essential questions that each group needed to research to find their answers. We grouped students based on interest according to their topic. The groups worked together to research the answers to their questions using Google Earth, selected websites that we thought were appropriate, and books. Finally, the groups worked together to create a keynote presentation that would highlight important information that they had found relating to their questions, and then also to compare and contrast different features that they found.
During Paddles of the Sea, I was in the Industries and Natural Resources group. I think that Paddles of the Sea is a great learning experience and a good place to provide teamwork on making the keynote, doing the research, and actually making up the script for when we presented in front of another class. Teamwork because it kind of brought our whole class together because everyone's working together in harmony and everyone got along with it because everyone got their favorite choice that they wanted for Paddles of the Sea. We actually researched Lake Michigan and Superior because we found two really interesting shipwrecks. We found that in French Airboat in Lake Superior, and we found the Niagara in Lake Michigan.
Well, after we taught our electricity unit to all the fourth graders, we were able to participate in a multiple intelligences activity. And we took Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences. We explained to the kids what they were. Kids learned about what intelligence was strong in them by doing an online survey. And they were able to find out in what ways do they learn best, and in what ways can they express what they learn in a fashion that pertains to them. And what was neat was that each child took a personal responsibility to find out what was going on in their particular intelligence. And they all were very engaged. One of the best parts of it was the actual share time that we had at the end of the week when all the kids could see what other kids were doing. And how some kids used just play, some kids used technology, other kids did research in different ways and created books, other kids sang songs, and it was a great way for kids to show how electricity fits with them in their lives.
It looks like my kids are swimming. No, really, it looks like it's great. Oh well. Okay. Ow! So remember, water, lightning doesn't mix with water.
This was a group of kids that were working on studying African Americans in their classroom. And as an enrichment project, we pulled these kids out, asked them to choose African Americans that they really wanted to become experts on, and then to begin to kind of research that. But the focus of that research really was on making connections. So we wanted the kids to have an opportunity to make a connection between an African American and themselves. So they began blogging. They each had their own blog about their African American. They learned not only about how to blog, but also how to upload pictures, how to get people to comment, how to moderate their comments, and basically how to use that blogging tool as a way to communicate with others.
My blog is about Barack Obama, and I like blogging because it's fun to learn information about different topics. I've been blogging about Michelle Obama. Learning and blogging will be after a lot of research about the people, and we had to make sure we know the facts so we could put it into a blog. Well, since there's some people in my group, you learn about 6 other African Americans.
Investigation time is part of the school-wide enrichment model developed by Sally Reese and Joe Renzulli out of the University of Connecticut. The staff support for this was tremendous. We had over 200 applications initially. The student support was also tremendous. We had kids sign up for these applications, whoever was interested in, and we went through page 9, and really looked at applications that were very serious. So kids who you could really tell from what they wrote were invested in what they wanted to find out about, and kind of had an idea of how they wanted to do that.
We had their folders organized, we organized the time, which days they would be available, make sure there was a sign-in sheet for each day during the time, like a one period. And then we also had checkpoints, and we had reflection sheets. It was really, I think, good to have all these organization pieces. We got a contract, so that we could always refer back to them.
It was really exciting to see during investigation time the students using the library in the manner in which they did. You had students looking for books throughout the library, using the online system to find books that their interest and topic. You had students using laptops throughout the library. As we went along in the investigation time process, you could see the energy built up in them. By the end, you could see some of the boys and girls, it was rippling through them. They were so excited to present at the fair. The day had finally come that they were going to get to share what they learned about.
Different kids each have their own thing that interests them. Like if ocean might not interest me, like some might not interest Arjun. Just a chance to pick what you really wanted to learn about. I thought that investigation time gave me, it was a time for me to research a topic that I wanted to learn about. I've been wanting to research the ocean for a long time, and it was fascinating to see how many facts there are. During the investigation period, when we put everything together, I thought it was very interesting to see everyone's different interests. My topic was tiger/movies, so you can kind of do two projects and put it into one. The bodies are quite interesting. They weigh up to 320 to 400 pounds.
This year at LPAS, families and students in kindergarten through second grades were invited to come play math games they could easily replicate at home. The games used commonly available initiatives like dice, cards, and dominoes to reinforce our curriculum and the Common Core standards for mathematics. An additional focus of this night was to reinforce the expectation that mathematically proficient students must communicate precisely to others. To encourage this practice, vocabulary terms for each game were provided. After spending a fun-filled hour playing games with their children, families left with directions for each of the games, including strategies for differentiating the game in developmentally appropriate ways.
So what we used to do in 6th grade was country report where each child would report on the cultural aspects of a particular country. And what we wanted to do was make this unit more 21st century and look at the world globally and how the children try to get personally involved in some way and to start to explore things that they would choose that would be more interested in. So we had as a framework, how can I affect world poverty and hunger? And within that, kids have concentrated on certain countries or areas or issues in small groups, and they've been investigating what does that look like in certain areas of the world, and what organizations are working in those areas of the world, and then finally, what are some ways that they or Lake Bluff Middle School can actually have an effect. So what we're hoping to get is agreement from the student council on at least one of these plans that we can enact as a school.
Our group focuses on like the water problem in Burundi, like training clean water to Burundi, and the group of organizations that are helping Burundi already.
For our project, we decided to focus on Ecuador, and we're donating money to the Peace Corps.
I found this one organization that's CARE, and it helps like sponsor a child, like the supporters sponsor a child to help them get a good education and enough food.
For sixth grade, the botany unit has always used the gas plants and used the self-watering system. And we're doing the same thing this year, but in the past, the way that the students have been assessed has been based on plant journals that they were writing with descriptions of observations, pictures of growth. And this year we did something completely new, trying to utilize as much of the new technology as we can. So we developed wikis, and each group of students that's working on one experimental variable has designed a wiki with the scientific method, all the variables, and each day they come in and they make quantitative and qualitative observations on their plants. Then they also have to answer a question each day, or several questions each day. They have to do what they've learned in class, and they respond to those on the phone. In the wikis also, they have a voice thread feature.
This is the stem, and it's a lot thinner than the experimental, and it's a darker green and it's thinner. These are the true leaves of the plants right there, and they're much smaller than the seed leaves. These are the seed leaves. They're a lightish green and they're bigger than the true leaves.
We were studying trigonometry and things like that and decided it would be kind of cool to relate that to something more interesting, like roller coasters and amusement parks. And so we looked into Six Flags that has math and science days. Well, we had Mr. Blackmer come for a day, and he reviewed with them force, and he took them outside and had them time his car out on East Sheridan to learn about acceleration. And then we took them to Artesian, and they tested their toys on the swings and slides and things just to get used to reading them and measuring lengths and distances and forces with something that is easier to control.
Okay, so right now, we are measuring the angle of the chain of the swing, and while we're measuring her angle, we're measuring how many G's the vertical accelerometer gets. Measuring her acceleration compared to her maximum angle.
Is they had accelerometers, both horizontal and vertical, and went on and sensors on the best, and they took them on rides, gathered data, looked to see what were the G-forces, which direction were they acting. So they did a lot of holding of little toys on the roller coasters and checking to see. They also had this really intense packet to fill out that asked about force, acceleration, and why would you feel more force perhaps on the Batman loops rather than the Iron Wolf loop.
Thanks for giving us time today to share our exciting partnerships throughout the grades and seeing the students. As Lori said earlier, we're going to pass out a document that we'll put on the webpage that highlights things even further.
Thank you very much. Do you guys have something else? Okay. Very exciting and very entertaining video. Thank you very much. We'll move on to reports. Do we have Kate Amaral here for PTO Report? Good evening, Kate.
Good evening. This is the PTO report for May.
I don't think
is it on?
I don't think it's on. Oh.
Herb will tell you if it's on or not.
Hello? Is it working? Okay, it's okay. So this is the PTO report for May. Very short, as we are winding up our year and beginning our planning for next year. We had a Teacher Appreciation Week the first week of May, and that was done by District PTO, Middle School PTO, Elementary PTO, and the school district. We've wound up our enrichment program for the year with Sounds of Brazil at the middle school and an Astronomy Dome assembly at the elementary school, and are beginning to take assessments of our enrichment programs that we've done this year and starting to plan for next year. We approved our budgets for next year. We're pretty close to filling our slate for all of our positions. We just completed a spring spirit wear sale, and there will be a new offering in the fall as well, so look for that on the web store. At LBES, we've been involved with the Hurly Burly, a spring book fair that was today, and field day. And both yearbooks at the middle school and elementary school will come out the last week of school. And then, of course, at the middle school, we are deep in the throes of planning for the graduation. There will be a picnic on June 1st, and then graduation's on June 2nd with a dance at the tent to follow. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Superintendent, Dr. Aspley.
Thank you. To give my report tonight, I've asked Kathleen Reedy to present a new initiative we're attempting in relation to kindergarten registration.
Good evening. We've actually had a pretty good registration this year. We've really been trying to push kindergarten registration earlier, as early as possible, because we have the cap on full-day kindergarten. So each class capped at 19, and we also know that there are a lot of kids who benefit from being in full-day kindergarten that often their families don't register them until very late August. And so in the hopes of reaching some of these families, often families who are not necessarily English speaking and often don't get the Lake Forester or read our website or some of the other things. So we have our first foray into a bilingual registration drive. And so we have a flyer. It's in English and in Spanish and frankly any language we want it to be. And we know that a lot of the families that are not necessarily English language families live in a couple of large apartment complexes as well as other living residences. But we were able to contact the manager of these buildings, who also happens to be a district parent, and she is going to be working with us, handing the registration announcement out as a family will move in, and also distributing it right now. Because oftentimes these families are not necessarily moving in the last week of August. We just haven't been able to reach them. So it's a new thing, and we're hoping that it works out.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, we have standing committee reports. Oh, wait, we have student services and curriculum. Dr. Hendrickson and Dr. Wertz?
We're actually hoping to come back in June to report out the year's progress on the 21st century. Actually, tomorrow, the Lake Bluff Middle School teachers are going to share what projects they worked on, so we're going to kind of pull this together in June, if that's okay.
Sure.
I have a few things to report on. One of the things that I think is pretty exciting for our district and also with the Lake Forest schools is a project a parent and board member has helped initiate, and that's called Project Eye to Eye, which is a community member works with a college, a local college that is willing to sponsor this, and they recruit members of the college population who mentor students with disabilities. And I'd like to thank Mark Berry for initiating this and really moving forward very quickly, but it's pretty exciting to have that possibility of our middle school students have additional mentors to just help them understand it's a a research-based program based on art, and I think it's going to really happen for us, and thank you for your hard work, and the schools are all very excited to have that added benefit to our students. Yeah, really exciting. We also hosted a couple workshops this last month that would benefit all students' progress, but especially tiered instruction, RTI, and the school's response to intervention. One of them in reading, and that's level literacy intervention, which we, Lake Bluff, actually hosted, but we held it at Lake Forest, and we invited Lake Forest teachers to join in the conference with us, and some teachers from Oak Grove School District also joined us. And we had 2 days of training, have the materials, and teachers have been using it in the school, and in our schools and theirs too, and then we'll have additional training in the fall to answer questions, make sure all our implementation is going smoothly, and we look forward to great things from this program. And then thanks to the help of Wendy Krieger, we last week hosted a math workshop, and almost all of our K-5 teachers had the invitation to attend, and our special ed teachers and some of the assistants and student teachers all got to benefit from this. And now we're looking at ways to buy some of the supplies that went through that, but it supports whatever math instruction we're using, but it just provides unique, interesting ways to practice and cement skills. So pretty exciting.
Thank you very much. Now our standing committee reports. 2020 vision.
We heard Andy a minute ago, there's going to be a report out in June. The whole faculty study groups have gone extremely well. I had the privilege and opportunity to observe one of them at the elementary school a few weeks ago, and so we're feeling like we got a great start down that road this year, and that the movement, if you will, is close to being self-perpetuating. And I don't think we could stop it if we tried at this point. Too many good things and too much excitement. So that's kind of where we are, and looking forward to where Dr. Henriksen will help us take it next year.
Great, thank you. NSSED did meet this month. I did attend the meeting, and actually Mark Berry went along with me, which was very nice. So both of us will be attending those meetings for the next 6 or 9 or 12 months together, and then we're talking about transitioning our roles perhaps on the governing board for NSSED. We did get a technology update from NSSED across the entire organization, but particularly some of the neat things that have come about with the new building, the NSA building, and some of the infrastructure changes that they've made, and some that they're planning or hoping to make over the next few years. They are negotiating their contract with their staff, and that's going well. And June, we will be seeing our final budget for approval. So that was 2 weeks ago, NSSED meeting. Finance and facilities?
Did not meet.
Shared services?
Still have
Did
to
not
name
meet.
people on there.
Okay. Strategic plan?
We spent last week, as all the board and administration knows, in part of our meeting in the Committee of the Whole was discussing the balanced scorecard, which is going to help us move many of the strategic plan initiatives forward. And in the coming months, there will be much more of a public unveiling of this district balanced scorecard.
Okay. Green team?
Did not meet.
Social committee?
The very loosely constructed social committee has arranged for an opportunity for all administrators and board members to meet and greet our new principal, Shelley Overman. That will take place tomorrow afternoon. We had hoped to use the courtyard. The weather forecast is not looking like that will happen, but we will have a great time nonetheless in the lunchroom, so looking forward to that.
Okay. Health and wellness?
Just added that as a reminder to fill that at the July board retreat.
Okay, great. On to action items. Our first action item is personnel recommendations. Could I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approves the personnel recommendations as per the attachment.
Eric seconded.
Eric, any discussion on that? We are using the updated list that John sent us today.
Right, and I sent it to everybody but me. So I'm typically I let everybody know what that was. I wanted to make sure I got them all in there. So thank you. The items you're approving for tonight are employing Heidi Hesch as the Lake Bluff Middle School 6th grade science teacher for next year, approving the employment of Joseph Jaxie for the long-term substitute position at the 8th grade science for next year at Lake Bluff Middle School, which will last all year. The reassignment of Jody Powell, the Lake Bluff Elementary School current half-time kindergarten teacher, we're reassigning to a full-time kindergarten teacher effective next school year. The retirement notification of Jan Ramito, Lake Bluff Elementary School 4th grade teacher, effective June 2015. Also, notification of retirement for Susan Rote, the Lake Bluff Elementary School 5th grade teacher, effective June 2015. And the resignation of me, effective June 30, 2011.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please, Al.
Eric Wagoner,
Yes.
Susan Ryder,
Yes.
Terry Carney,
Yes.
Al Pfeifhaus, yes. Leanne Charlot,
Yes.
Mary Jane Brady,
Yes.
Mark Berry.
Yes.
Okay. Could we have a motion to approve the expansion of the half full-time employee to full-time, to one whole full-time employee for the middle school intervention specialist?
I move that the Board of Education approves the expansion of the half-time to full-time middle school intervention specialist.
Second.
Discussion? Nate, did you want to give us a little update on what that is?
Sure. As you know, we recognized Kathy Meyerhoff earlier, as she will be retiring at the end of this school year. She's the person currently holding our academic support position and teaching 3 classes and is 0.5 FTE, so a half-time teacher. What we're requesting is an increase of that position from half-time to full-time. The new teacher, the intervention specialist, changing the title as well to intervention specialist, as well as the job description, not just the title, would continue to teach those academic support classes. In addition to that, carry out more Tier 2 interventions. We've piloted quite a few with with great success. This year, we want to expand those and make sure that we're offering those Tier 2 interventions to all students who need them, both in math, science, reading, and writing.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Terry Carney,
Yes.
Susan Ryder,
Yes.
Eric Wagoner,
Yes.
Mark Berry,
Yes.
Mary Jane Brady,
Yes.
Leanne Charlot,
Yes.
Al Pfeifhaus, yes.
Okay. Approval of administrator contract. Could I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approves a contract with Nathan Blackmer to serve as principal of Lake Bluff Middle School as presented.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Leanne Charlot,
Yes.
Mary Jane Brady,
Yes.
Mark Berry,
Yes.
Eric Wagoner,
Yes.
Susan Ryder,
Yes.
Terry Carney,
Yes.
Al Pfeifhaus, yes.
Okay. Approval of Kathleen Reedy's contract. Could I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approves a contract with Kathleen Reedy to serve as Coordinator of Communications and Public Relations as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
Al Pfeifhaus, yes. Leanne Charlot,
Yes.
Mary Jane Brady,
Yes.
Mark Berry,
Yes.
Terry Carney,
Yes.
Susan Ryder,
Yes.
Eric Wagoner.
Yes.
Okay, approval of transportation bids. I move that the Board of Education approves the student transportation bid as presented.
Second.
Discussion?
I just want to let everybody know that this year, District 65 with 115, again, bid the buses to share buses, which is an efficient, it is a cost-sharing methodology for us. But also District 67 participated in the bids. We were kind of hoping for all 3 districts to go out to bid together. There is some savings in volume. So as the bids are presented, we are recommending Olson Transportation again for the contract for the next 3 years.
And Jane, you indicated that if we were bidding on our own, we'd be paying over $100,000 more.
Yes.
Right, so it's a good shared service initiative.
It is a good shared services initiative.
And Jane, the performance of Olson over the last several years, how would you say it's done?
Excellent. Beyond excellent. Very happy with them.
Any other? Al, can we have a vote?
Mark Berry?
Yes.
Mary Jane Brady?
Yes.
Leanne Charlo?
Yes.
Al Pfeifhaus, yes. Terry Kearney?
Yes.
Susan Ryder?
Yes.
Eric Wagoner?
Yes.
Thank you. Insurance renewal.
I move that the Board of Education approves the renewal of all current insurance benefits at current levels as presented.
Second.
Discussion?
I do want to specify that we are approving the following providers in this renewal. For our health insurance, it is Blue Cross Blue Shield, current carrier. Dental insurance is Delta Dental, also the same carrier. However, for term life and long-term disability, we will be changing over to Dearborn National, and then our vision insurance, Superior Vision, is the same.
Thank you, Jen. Any discussion on that?
It might be relevant to comment on the cost increase versus prior years. I think you
Well,
said it was 8% versus a much larger number in the past, right?
Last year, our health insurance renewal was real close to a 30% increase. It was a huge increase. This year, Blue Cross came in with, I believe it was a little over almost 8%. However, by switching our term life and long-term disability to Dearborn National, which that into itself is a little bit of a cost savings of about $7,400 a year versus our current provider, Blue Cross also gave us what they call rate relief for going with Dearborn. And so our single employee premium is increasing only 5.8% this year, which is quite good in today's world. So,
Thank you, Mark. Any other discussion? Al, can we have a roll call vote?
Susan Ryder?
Yes.
Leanne Charlo?
yes.
Terry Kearney?
Yes.
Mary Jane Brady?
Yes.
Eric Wagoner?
Yes.
Mark Berry?
Yes.
Al Pfeifhaus, yes.
Okay. Going to approve the disposal of excess property.
I move that the Board of Education approves to dispose of the teachers' laptops.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion on that?
It's really just because we have inventoried them. You need to have a formal vote to dispose of them, and we intend to sell them to staff.
So these laptops are 5 years old.
5
We've
years
already approved to replace them.
Yes.
So this is just an opportunity at a market comparable rate to provide them to the teachers if they have a desire to take them.
That is correct.
And those that the teachers don't take, we sell back to, or sell to someone else, right, at some residual rate or something?
I'm sorry, what was it?
What, the ones that the teachers don't buy, someone else buys from us at some...
We'll send them back to Apple. Apple will purchase them from us.
Great. And do we need a voice vote on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so the motion carries. Okay, approval of intergovernmental agreement with Lake Bluff Park District.
I move that the Board of Education approves the intergovernmental agreement with Lake Bluff Park District as presented.
Second.
Discussion?
This is amended only from the village and park district's point of view. It's the same essentially to the school district, same agreement we agreed to in the fall, and it's still allowing our maintenance folks to store things over at the village and park district shared space over on 176.
And so in exchange for the space, the park district is getting, I mean...
We provide the park district
we
free
provide them-
space at the schools for their programming, and it's all taxpayers' dollars. We
So
figured
basically,
might as
we're
well just pay
taking
once.
portions of two facilities that aren't being used and saying, let's swap and
Right.
use what's there.
Exactly.
That's terrific.
Any other? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There being none? Okay, we do not have any action as a result of closed session. So we will move to the consent agenda. Could I have a motion?
I move to approve the following items on the consent agenda as printed before you and as presented on the TV screen.
Second.
Voice vote?
Roll call.
So we need a roll call out.
Leanne Charlo?
Yes.
Mary Jane Brady.
Yes.
Mark Berry.
Yes.
Terry Carney.
Yes.
Susan Ryder Porter.
Yes.
Al Pfeifhaus, yes. Eric Wagner.
Yes.
New business. First item of new business is 8th grade graduation. A happy day for quite a few of our students, and we need a couple of board members to be on hand to pass out diplomas. We had Corinne Torkelson volunteer because her daughter is graduating. She had been on our board 6 years, knows quite a few of the students, and we discussed this the other evening at the Committee of the Whole and thought that that would be a great idea. But we also had a couple of our current board members who also have 8th graders volunteers. So thank you to Mark Berry and to Susan Porter for helping us at graduation, and Al and I get to sign them. So,
Cool.
any other discussion on 8th grade graduation? And then the other thing we need to talk about is our standing committees.
Right, and this is just, we'll be on here next month as well, as just a reminder, if you have any thoughts regarding the standing committees we currently have, or any that you would like to see created, some deleted, whatever, in light of the fact that the board is now going to committee of the whole, that may change the committee structure. It doesn't have to, but probably will over time. And obviously, these are things that you can change 3 months from now if you decide to change them, but in a perfect world, coming out of the July board retreat, you would have a list of committees that you wish to use and the members that would be associated with those. So this will be on there again next month, just to remind everybody that this is.
So this is our opportunity to name and to nominate another board member for a committee that we have long loved, but perhaps need to share with someone else.
The way it typically works is if you miss a meeting, you then are nominated for every committee.
I'll be there.
So we'll be talking about that more next month?
Yes.
About the committees. So
It's a placeholder for the next 2 months.
we'll have a list, do we have a list of the current committees? that
Yes,
we could just
they're
send
in the
to-
packet, yes.
That's in this month's packet?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be talking about that more next month.
Yep.
One of the other things that I wanted to talk about, Susan and I had talked about this. IASB has several nice educational programs for school board members, and a couple of us had talked about going to some. There's one for presidents and there's one for board members. But we thought maybe if more than one or two of us are interested, we might bring someone here for,
It would probably be a cost savings and probably be a benefit.
and
you-
perhaps we could,
You could use the board retreat as an opportunity to do that, or a different time.
and maybe would we invite other board members from our shared districts, or probably just keep it to ourselves?
Typically, I think you'd want to at least do the first one just with you. And then if you wanted to do a bigger one, that would be a really novel approach. I think that'd be a good idea.
So maybe we can talk about this again next month, too, but it seems like it would be maybe a good idea for all of us across various topics, so.
I will make sure I contact IASB and talk about their availability, because those people, they don't have a lot of those trainers, and so they get scheduled, especially in light of new elections. So I will put a call into IASB and talk about pricing and when they would be available.
Great.
I've got a specific recommendation regarding one of the trainers, John. You
Oh,
can follow
okay.
up with me.
Great.
Somebody who does this for a living has a recommendation.
Okay, great.
Great, thank you, Susan. Any other new business? How about old business? Class size policy guidelines?
Want me to take that?
Well, do you want to start, and then we'll?
Sure. We have been working on the structure of ideal class parameters, class size parameters for grade levels depending on the different grades, and have been continued to work on it last week in Thursday night's committee of the whole meeting, and also have enrollment data for next year that Katie's been good enough to create and give us some options going forward. And at this point in time, depending, of course, on what you all want to do, it would appear that we have reached the point where we should probably be convening a meeting of that committee to
Committee
talk
to
about.
kind of talk about what we have as suggestions,
Right.
and kind of combine those with some suggestions they had made earlier in the school year, so.
For any particular grade level, John, or all?
Kindergarten right now seems to be something that we would just monitor. I don't know that any action needs to be taken at this time, but certainly we can put that on the agenda just because we'll already be there. But first and second grade.
First and second, thank you.
Okay, anything else on that topic? Construction update?
We had a construction meeting yesterday. The general contractor is quite confident we're on schedule and we'll meet the July 1st deadline for Raising East School. If you haven't been by lately, basically it's all gone except from the elevator, and the new addition from 1946 is still standing, so. They will begin work in the middle school, just almost immediately after school's out. They'll start in the science rooms, I know, June 8th, so it gives us a couple of days to get those rooms emptied and prepared, so moving ahead.
Anything else on that? And then
I would like to say one other thing. As I can watch the destruction from my home, if anybody is watching this, I have had to chase children out of the construction site. If anybody's watching at home, that's not a place for kids to be, and I get really cranky. So if they would like to deal with me, I guess they can try again, but it's really dangerous, and it's not worth the brick that you're going to maybe get because I take them from kids and throw them back over the fence. And it's really, truthfully, though, very dangerous, and so I'm imploring people not to let their children into that construction site because they have no idea what kind of danger they're in.
Thanks, John. And then I just thought we set this board retreat date when we had 3 other different members of the board, so we probably need to check to be sure that the July 30th date still works. I think that Mark said that maybe didn't work for him, so
Mark will be on all the committees then? I believe that was the...
I think he might just...
That's what I heard.
He's thinking perhaps he may be there now.
You other 6 are quite fortunate. No, I'm sorry.
So we probably need to look at July. I don't know if we need to do that tonight or if we should look at our calendars.
Well, it would help because Liz would like to schedule with the location. Last year we used Lake Forest, Glen Rowan House. We don't have to again.
That was a nice place. I thought that was fine.
MJ, not all of us having our calendars with us or in our minds, could we email you any, or email Liz, dates that we won't be available over the summer?
Could we try to do that over just the next few days and get those to you, Liz, and set a date?
Maybe by the end of this week? Could we live with that?
Weekend dates, you need, it has to be a weekend, right?
It doesn't have to be, but, I mean...
Probably. We try to use an entire morning, or maybe like 8:30 to 1 or something like that, so it's...
We did a Saturday morning last year.
Correct.
Yeah.
So send Liz dates for the whole summer, for July, for...
Well, and the reason, if you don't do it in July, you're going to have another board meeting because we have to pay the bills.
So what we did is we had a retreat in July rather than a board meeting, so that's, probably focus on July. Okay? And then I believe we are going to return to closed session to discuss...
So you can take a motion out of it.
So we'll, can I have a motion to move into closed session?
I move that the Board of Education enter into closed session to discuss personnel, pending and possible litigation, and other matters.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're in closed session.
In this case...